about the chance to play Tulane this week. Know a lot about their head coach, Willie Fritz. Have a lot of respect for the man he is, the coach he is. A ton of success at his different stops. Very familiar with him at Sam Houston, Georgia Southern, some of the places he's been as of here lately, and has always been successful. Always an athletic team. They're still playing very well defensively, just like they were there our last few years at East Carolina. They fly around. I think they only gave up 500 yards twice last year, which is, again, very, very difficult to do. Defensively, they're going to definitely stress us with a spread option attack. It's not option in the sense of like you see, with Navy and some of the military schools, but there's a lot of option-based rules to it. Be a lot of assignment football for our guys. It'd be something a little bit new and something that we're going to have to do a good job of handling. So we're excited to be back home. Would fully expect that, Saturday night, Norman will be really rocking. Should be a great atmosphere, and we're excited to get that one teed off and get moved on. Coach Bedenbaugh's kind of created that culture, within our offensive line. That's what's expected. Orlando's been one of the guys to lead the charge on that, but that group definitely is on edge all the time, and they play like it.
All right, guys, so as I said before we went to Lincoln there, this is a huge win, signature win for him in just his second game. So how big is this win for the Sooners? I mentioned Big 12. How big is a win for Ohio State, right? Huge, right?
I don't think it could be bigger. I mean,
for sure.
Unless it was maybe Alabama, Ohio State is a huge program. Nobody thought OU had a chance to win that game going into Columbus, especially after the game last season. But they tore it up. It was a huge win for OU.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from basically the start of the game, you could tell that Oklahoma is good enough to play with these guys. You could tell right away.
See the energy.
Yes.
I think it was 85% of professional analysts had picked Ohio State to win. It might have been upwards towards 90. And it just showed on the field who had more heart. And going forward, it just puts OU in the conversation immediately for a national title contender, obviously. And it lets everyone know, this is a team that we can't mess with. We have to go in and we have to treat them like they're one of the big names, one of the big Final Four teams that we could see later on. And they'll be in the conversation the entire year if they move through the Big 12 as we intend for them to do.
And honestly, it gained a lot of national respect. There were a lot of people OU was a, top 10 program coming into the year, but no one was really talking about it as a serious title contender.
It was the opposite. Most of the pre-season shows and stuff I saw was that OU wouldn't win the Big 12. OU was not as good as their ranking. So
yep, exactly. Called pretenders.
Yeah.
And I think that can easily be shed now. No one's going to call the team that goes into Columbus and whoops Ohio State a pretender. So I think what it really ended up doing was gaining a lot of national respect, but with that respect comes a big old target on our backs. It was already going to be there no matter what within the Big 12. But for the rest of the year, Baker Mayfield and that offense especially will have a target on their back because of the flag planting on top of the fact that they just whooped Ohio State.
I think this win is also huge for Baker Mayfield and his chance at winning the Heisman because people didn't think Baker was going to have as good of a year losing Joe Mixon, Pirine, and D.D. Westbrook. It's hard to find people to replace that production, but he's gotten a ton of people involved. If Jeff Badette and Trey Sermon didn't fumble in that first half, we could have been up.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
It would not have been.
No, you could tell that OU was in their own way a little bit in the first half.
They shot themselves in the foot the first half.
Several times. And I totally agree with what you were saying, that outside of going into Tuscaloosa and doing that to Alabama, there's pretty much nobody better you could do it to in Ohio State.
One of the most storied schools in all of college football for the history of college football.
Absolutely.
In the shoe, a super young OU team goes in there and just plays their hearts out.
That's what impressed me the most.
109,000 people.
The play of Trey Sermon, Jeff Badette, because he's from Kentucky. He really hasn't been in any huge games. These guys who all haven't played in that kind of atmosphere literally in their life, going out there and just balling out like that.
And I think it proved to people who, along kind of your point, Baker Mayfield doesn't need weapons around him to be great, especially not experienced weapons. He came in with a completely new offensive set around him and is still putting up, 16 of 17 for 200 some odd yards in the second half?
Yes.
That's incredible.
Absolutely. And we were talking about, how much the win meant for the program. This game got Baker Mayfield. I think he's generally, the consensus best quarterback in college football right now.
He's looked like the best player in the country.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Yeah, if the Heisman vote was today, obviously it's very early in the season, 2 weeks in, got just as good a chance to win the Heisman as anybody.
Baker not having the weapons that he had last year, I think actually helps his case if he's still
Oh,
putting up
absolutely.
these numbers. 'Cause
Yeah, they lost so much, and that was a big reason why OU was called pretenders, everybody else, because everything they lost, complete rebuild, replacement, just absolutely sensational. All right, guys, so obviously I said signature win for Lincoln Riley, just his second game. He still got control of the offense. He still calls the plays, but who had the better day, him or Mike Stoops, who's been kind of on the hot seat, taking a lot of heat the last few years with how poorly the defense has been. Defense played great. Who had the better day, Lincoln or Mike Stoops?
I think you got to go with Lincoln Riley. And shouts out to Mike Stoops for all of the defensive effort. But that offense dominated from the first snap. It was all over the place. They were very well balanced, run, pass, obviously leaning on Baker and his experience in the passing game. But you never really got the sense that they were redundant. Like they were doing something, but it was always different. You never knew what was coming. And they always kept Ohio State's defense on their toes, worried about what was coming next. When you only have to punt one time at Ohio State, that's impressive. And granted, there were turnovers, and that's not ideal. And the offense stalled in the first quarter and couldn't really get going in the first half to score. But they were very efficient, well-called game, and I think you got to give it to Lincoln Riley in this one.
I got to agree about Lincoln. He chose the game plan. They stuck to it, and it worked. Mm-hmm. They went into the game. They knew they had to get the run game going, but against Ohio State's front, that is hard to do.
Well, the play calling was sensational. The direct snaps, the Dimitri Flowers plays, the read option passes, the play calling was perfect from the very get-go.
They used all of their skill players in all of the different situations they could have. Jeff Badette's speed, Kyler Murray's speed and his ability to also throw, Trey Sermon's youth but also speed. Like they used everyone they could have, and it wasn't just like a Baker Mayfield show.
Spence, we got.
I'm going with Mike Stoops. Lincoln Riley's not on a hot seat right now. As we all know, Mike Stoops
Absolutely.
was. His brother, the head coach, Bob Stoops, is gone. So a lot of people were saying, how long is it before they get rid of Mike? They don't need Mike anymore. Bob's gone. He's not. The family ties aren't there. Mike put on a stellar performance through his defense. His defense shone, and that was the question mark. The offense really isn't something that's been in question. Everyone knew that Lincoln's an offensive specialist. He's a mastermind. He can come in and put together packages. But Mike Stoops' defensive abilities have always been something that OU fans, bloggers, people that talk about OU have been talking about as being the downfall of the program. And him doing this and showing that his defensive skills and the team skills can match up against top 2, top 3 team in the country on paper, that's more impressive to me than Lincoln Riley carrying through with something that he was doing last year already.
I agree with you. I think Mike Stoops, he was coaching for his job this year. Bob's gone. He doesn't have any protection now. There's no reason for the school to stick with him if the defense was as bad had this been the last couple of years. So, final non-con game today, obviously for the Sooners against Tulane. What are you guys looking to see tuned up? What can they work on, get better before they go into Big 12 play?
I'm looking to see our running back group be more decided. I'm anxious to see what guys get the most carries today. And going into conference play, we have 4 backs who have all played pretty well. And going into conference play, it'll be exciting to see if it's Trey Sermon, if Rodney Anderson's going to get more run today. Abdul Adams, besides the fumble, looked good in the first half. So I just want to see running backs look good today and get going quickly.
Kyle and I were actually talking about that before the show, how we need to get, OU needs to get the running back depth sorted out. They need to figure out who's going to be their number 1 guy going forward, because the running back by committee obviously does have its perks and it keeps your running backs their stamina higher and things like that. But having a definitive back that you know you can rely on going forward through the season is obviously something that will help you just be more dominant, because that's the guy you can rely on going forward always.
And OU always has a 1 or 2 feature back field. We never, OU
that
never has 4.
workhorse, that workhorse, Murray, Peterson, Mixon, Pierre, always.
And the thing I want to see most is the Kyler Murray package. We really saw it kind of in a small dose against Ohio State, a little bit against UTEP in the second half. But I think that could be a big key going forward to get a new mix into our offense. And it didn't work as effectively as I think it could have against Ohio State. A lot of the things in our offense worked great, but that package in particular could be improved, and I think it could be a huge boost to our offense going forward. OU fans are used to things like the Blake Bell package that bring in just this new little dose in the red zone that can be a huge game changer. And I'd love to see, one, for Baker's health reasons, I'd like to see a lot of Kyler Murray in this game against Tulane.
He's exciting.
Mine's pretty simple. How about just say 100% good start? UTEP, offense got off to a hot start. UTEP went right down the field that first drive. Its defense was sleeping. Ohio State didn't score a touchdown until the second half. Offense and defense, they'll just start the game already like in a rhythm.
Just get the ball rolling quick.
Let's get it going quick. You know, this is Tulane, an inferior opponent. No disrespect to Tulane, but they're a Group of 5 team. So get out, get this thing ugly early, get the starters out. Well, you know, that's what I'm wanting to see.
Get in, get out, get safe.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to take a break, but we will be back later on. We're going to go out to calling in the guys. Hopefully now they'll do 4 downs if everything goes to plan. We'll see you guys later on.